with you, and it's been exciting being here in the area and being on the campuses today. And last night, we were at Regis University College, and that was a wonderful group and a wonderful gathering. So I would like to start with, I was asked to kind of look at the kind of moral considerations around things like torture, the drones, and in kind of way of trying to focus it, I focused it on, kind of how it affected, how I encountered it in my own life, as many of you did, somewhat the same and somewhat differently than my own affairs with it. I wasn't too worried about having my bank accounts cut off or, whatever, but anyway, so I really, to start out with here, as an introduction to this little slideshow I have here, is that I think that things really obviously emerged from the 9/11 experience that we know so well in this country. And that sort of gave license to a whole new manifestation of both what were the right and the wrong things to do. I compare it in my own life, as when I give longer talks, I did it kind of last night, about how my consciousness of the world began with Pearl Harbor. I was a little boy, we were called into a classroom, teacher brought in a radio, and we heard Franklin Delano Roosevelt tell about the bombing of Pearl Harbor. This day of infamy will live on, and we mobilized then to respond to that. And I think the next equivalent really to that was 9/11/01, when suddenly we had this bombing, terrible, terrible bombing closer to home, probably not that much more drastic, but closer to home than Pearl Harbor, and in our own time, and in New York. And the immediate response of the president was to come again, as President Roosevelt, on and talk again about a day of infamy and how this would be avenged. This would be avenged. And he declared the next day that there was an axis of evil existing in the world, which were Iran and Iraq and the Soviet Union and China and North Korea and Libya and Syria. And I think there were 9 of them anyway. If I missed one, fill in. And they called them the axis of evil. And so then we went about on a campaign against that. I myself had the opportunity to go to Jordan in 06 with Code Pink, just getting out of prison for some time, several months in prison for Fort Benning activities. Just off the School of the Americas, I was invited by Medea Benjamin. Well, what are you doing now? Well, would you like to come and fast for 30 days with us in front of the White House? I said, gee, Medea, just what I had on my mind. I came to their Global Exchange banquet thinking that'll be a nice change. Anyway, we went over there. We couldn't get into Iraq, but we met with parliamentarians in Jordan to hear their concern that we get out of Iraq, and we still haven't gotten out of Iraq. And we went to Jordan, we went to Syria. We went to Syria, there was one of them, the axis of evil. I expected to see, this big sign. There was kind of an overpass thing. I expected to see, axis of evil, stamp, George Bush, and yet we went in and we found people welcoming. This was right when the Lebanon crisis was happening. Israel was bombing Lebanon, and we went into Syria, trying to get into Lebanon, which we did not succeed to do because the bombing then just escalated like crazy, ending up with a flurry of millions of landmines, cluster bombs that are still actually a threat to the people of Lebanon and the children of Lebanon. And so we found out that the axis of evil was busy there, Syria, gathering in refugees, already having received millions of refugees from Iraq, bringing from their own homes their food, their mattresses, things like that. That was an axis of evil? No, an axis of friendship. So here at home, we found people gathering last year when the 9/11 came around, and they were people from Iraq working with other people who were concerned about our relationships with these other countries, saying, we're not really an evil country. We are not out to do anything to America. And this is the way they had greeted or responded to 9/11. By the next day, putting in their windows beautiful candles indicating a friendship with the United States. Everyone in the world was doing that, really, and if only we could have continued on that course. 30 million people got out into the streets shortly thereafter to try to stop the bombing from happening, but nevertheless it did.